Are you interested in the benefits of being more spiritual, but you're not ready for this kind of all or nothing approach? Hi, I'm Carly Myers, a stress management expert, and this month we're focusing on spirituality. And I brought on an incredible guest, Britta GreenViolet, who is a holistic health and lifestyle coach who helps professionals to optimize their energy, reduce stress, and weigh what they want and live fully, authentically, right? She's also a musician, sound healer, and vocal coach, supporting men and women reclaim their voice as an avenue for healing, activism, and human connection. I'm so excited to have you on the show, Britta.
Thanks, Carly. So good to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we go way back. We go way back.
We
So
do, yeah.
I think it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago we met? Something crazy like that?
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Getting up there. So I probably heard your story quite a few times now, but a lot of my people don't know who you are and they don't know the amazing work that you do. So would you mind sharing a little bit about how you ended up here?
Yeah, totally. Well, it's funny. My story, of course, like all our stories, is still evolving. And as my life continues to take twists and turns, these interesting things, these dots get connected. And the really interesting thing that I'm hearing a lot these days is I tell people my story, namely that I used to be like 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And also that I used to be so terrified to sing in front of anybody. And people see me as like this now. They see me as somebody who's, happy and joyous and radiant and singing all the time. And they just like don't buy it. They're like, I don't know who that person was. I don't believe you. So this has been a really interesting for me, and it's really led me to this place of realizing just how great the capacity is for transformation for each of us. And it's this beautiful lesson in like mastery takes time, right? And transformation, true lasting transformation takes time, which is something that I have to remind myself and clients of all the time, particularly in like the health industry. I think people want change now. And that, the greatest gifts of transformation come in very surprising packages. So at the heart of my story is spirituality. And that is the fabric underneath everything that I do. And the way that got revealed was slowly. It was like, I started dancing like with a hula hoop and
Ooh.
that was way more effective for weight loss than like working out, which I had done avidly. I started getting obsessed with essential oils and started moving away from prescriptions. I totally fell in love with yoga and meditation, started getting into nutrition and found out about mindful eating. And those are all these very practical applications of spirituality, but led me just down this beautiful rabbit hole of really claiming my life, claiming my command over my life, in these really radical ways and really subtle ways.
And just a shout out for your book, Eat Here Now. It is phenomenal. I think I've read that thing cover to cover 3 times now. That's how powerful it is. So guys, if you have not checked it out, please check it out. It is so powerful. And I could not get through the show without shouting out your book.
Thanks. I love my book too. I think it's a pretty good book. So, it's easy. It's easy to digest, which I think is important when you take on subjects like that. Because otherwise it's like, oh my God, how do you even start to do something like that? Eat
Yeah.
mindfully.
Well, speaking of which, it sounds like, I mean, a lot of well, let's say we don't have your book. We're waiting for it to come in the mail. What can we do right now to connect more spiritually, to maybe find that healthier version of ourselves?
Yeah, beautiful question. There's a couple things that I pretty much utilize myself all the time. One of them is a concept called that I like to phrase it as ritualize it. And that means like take the things that you do in your everyday life that are routines and up level them to the ritual status. And really for me the difference between routine and ritual is just meaning. Like it's
Mm.
meaning and intention, that I infuse it with spirit. I infuse it with a sense of the sacred. And that can even be doing dishes, you know, it can be eating your salad or your taco, you know, but doing it in a way where you're being mindful, you're paying attention, you're slowing down, noticing your breath. And that's kind of my second superhero tool is breath. Oh my gosh, just one of my mentors says, command your breath, command your life. And that has become one of my mantras. So, you know, in the case of eating, just taking a moment to take a couple deep breaths before we start a meal, before we pick up our utensils, can be a game changer. And paying attention to our breath between every bite, you know, those small little places make a huge difference.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's
and
funny
then I
to me.
think just,
It's
yeah,
funny to me, like thinking about the just what you just shared just then is like, I think one of the tips that you recommended in your book was, in terms of ritualizing your meal, is to put your fork or your spoon down between bites, like as you're chewing, and like if that doesn't bring you back, because I know for me, I was always the person, sometimes still am, gotta be real, um, that where I'm just filling, I'm like
of
chewing,
course.
filling the utensil with the next bite, just thinking about the next bite. And if we use, if we put that down and we use our breath, like that alone could ritualize just about anything, it seems.
Yeah, that tool right there, that is, if you took one thing away from the book, that would be it. I call that the mastication meditation. And it is the ultimate non-metaphor for how we are living in the future, like planning our next bite, not even paying attention to the bite that's in our mouth.
Mm, I'm
Mhm.
glad I passed that quiz.
Yeah, good job. A plus.
Thank you, thank you. So, what else do you recommend in terms of next steps?
Well, I really recommend befriending, you know, I love what you just said about it's like I don't do it all the time, right? Okay, neither do I. I wrote the book. I don't do it all the time. In fact, I was just musing in my kitchen this morning about places where like bad kitchen habits that I have, and I was just like, okay, yeah, let's get into it. Like it's befriending the shadow. It's seeing the places where you know what I have work to do, and it's all good. Like if I demonize myself, if I make myself bad or wrong for it, that's just turning away rather than, okay, I've got work to do. There's a lot of resistance here for me. This feels really challenging, and leaning in. You know, I feel like if there is a cornerstone of true spiritual work, that's it. It's befriending your shadow. It's leaning into those places where you'd rather not pay attention. You'd rather just cover it up and turn away. But those are where the true gifts to,
Mm.
you know, our soul's evolution are.
Yeah, it's I have this great affirmation I read myself every day that is, everything is for, what is it? I should know it. I read it first thing. It's the first one on my list. It's all for the growth. It's all for my soul's expansion. It's all for my soul's expansion.
That's
And
right. That's
befriending your
right.
shadow and my crap, like that is for my soul's expansion. And there's nothing more powerful than that. So really quickly, where can we find you?
Britta GreenViolet is my website. It's my Instagram handle. You can find me on Facebook. I have a Ritualize It group, and I've got a free mindful eating meditation on my website.
And we're going to put that link in our description. So don't you guys worry about the link for that free gift. We'll make sure that you get it. So we want to know, for those of you who are at home, what are the simple ways that you've already ritualized your life, or the simple ways you've already incorporated spirituality into your daily life? Let us know in the comments. We want to get this conversation going. So Britta, thank you so much for coming on the show. This concludes this episode of the Stress Less Show. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, let us know by giving us a big old thumbs up and hitting that follow or subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.